Hi, I'm Kimberly, Allison from Starliner Music. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to continue with my series entitled Blues Solos with Comping. In these studies, we go back and forth from lead guitar to rhythm guitar accompaniment, also known as comping, within the span of a 12-bar blues. First, I'll perform Blues Solo with Comping in the key of G number 11, and then I'll break it down for you. Here we go. I hope you enjoy it. All right, today we're going to break down Blues Solo with Comping in the key of G number 11. In these exercises, we go back and forth from lead guitar to rhythm guitar accompaniment, also known as comping. So I've taken a 12-bar blues and I've divided it into 3 parts. Each part will have a lick, go to comping, have another lead guitar lick, and go to comping. And there'll be 3 of these parts. So we'll be alternating between lead and rhythm guitar within a 12-bar blues. First, let's look at the scales that we'll be playing in this example. The main scale that we'll be using is the blues scale at the 10th fret for the key of G. So in the world of caged, this is known as the A form because if we make a bar chord here, a G bar chord, it looks like an A, like an open A moved up the neck. So in caged, this is the A area. And the blues scale here looks like this. So that's the G blues scale in the A pattern. Now, I might refer to this sometimes as minor pentatonic. It's also known as the blues scale. The only difference between the minor pentatonic and the blues scale is the addition of the blue note. So sometimes we'll be adding that blue note passing tone into this scale. So a blue note makes it actually a 6-note scale versus the 5-note minor pentatonic scale. So now that we've looked at the scale that we'll be using, let's go on to part 1. Here's part 1. So we're starting part 1 up here at the 10th fret, and I'm kind of thinking about a G minor triad. I know we're in a major key, but this is part of our minor pentatonic. So this is root, minor third, and 5th of a G minor triad. So I'm starting off with the minor third here, and I'm bending toward the chord tone, the third of the chord, just a little bit, about a quarter bend. And I'm playing the 5th here at the top, that's the D, so. And I'm ending on the root G. And then I'm going to travel down to the 3rd fret for my comping pattern. So I'm starting off with a power chord, and so that's a root and a 5th. And I'm playing then a C triad. So I'm rolling my ring finger down and playing this C triad. Now, you might think, well, we're on a G chord here. Why am I playing a C triad? This is just creating motion, like suspended tension around the G chord. So I go from the G5, I roll into the C triad, and then I hammer on into an abbreviated G7th chord. So I am using my middle finger to hammer onto the major third of a G7th chord. So this note is the flat 7, the F, and then this would be a B natural when I hammer on into it, and then here is the 5th D. So when I hammer on, though, you can kind of hear a little bit of that minor third, the B flat underneath, when I'm trilling this note. So again, we have the flat 7, the 3, and the 5 of our G7 chord with the little hammer. So the pattern is, so that's my G comping pattern. Then I come back and I play triplets, and I'm going to give it a little approach slide. So I'm playing the 5th and the flatted 7 of my scale and my chord. And then I'm coming down with the blues scale, and then ending on the minor third. That's right here, the B flat. I'm giving it a slight quarter pull down, so that's a bend. And then I'm going to go back to my comping at the 3rd fret. Let's put that together. On to part 2. Here's part 2. So I'm starting out here on the C chord. So I've arrived at the 4 chord, or I'm leading into the 4 chord. So a couple of notes. First of all, I'm ending this idea on a chord tone of C7. I'm ending on the B flat. That's the flat 7 of a C 7th chord, so I'm ending on a chord tone. And I'm not starting on a chord tone per se, except that I am starting on a 9th. So if you look at this as a C 9th chord instead of like a C7 chord, it would be considered a chord tone. So it's a nice note on the C. I'm starting on the D, coming down the blues scale and ending on the flat 7 of C. And then I go over to the C comping. Now I'm doing the same thing for C that I did for G. I'm starting with the power chord. So this is C5, and then I'm going this time to an F triad. This is just motion around C though. And then I'm hammering on into the major third. I'm actually using a trill. Now, I didn't mention before, but you know, we're hearing this minor third underneath the bar, and the minor third adds a bluesy element to the tonality. Blues in a major key has minor elements incorporated. That's what makes it sound bluesy. So we're still hearing a little bit of that minor third underneath the bar. So the comping for C would be. And then I go to another lick. So I'm back to here, and I go pull off, coming down the blues scale and ending on the root G. So we have 2 pull-offs, down the blues scale, and ending on the root G. And then I'm back down here to the 3rd fret for my G comping again. Let's put that together. On to part 3. Here's part 3. Alright, so for part 3, we're going to start on the 5 chord D, and so I'm still playing out of G minor pentatonic as far as my fingering goes, but I'm bending straight up to the D here. So I'm bending a C to the D, and that's the root of my chord, so I'm going, and then I'm coming down to the C, that's the 7 of the chord. I'm talking about the 5 chord D7, so. And then I'm coming over to an F. Now, I'm slightly bending the F toward the major third of the D7, which is an F sharp. So I'm kind of hinting at that F sharp a bit. I'm bending the F sharp just a little sharp, not quite to F sharp, but like a microtonal inflection. And then ending on the root D. So and then I'm going to drop down to the C comping, because at this point the progression is moving down to C, and I do the same C comping I did before. And I come back over to my minor pentatonic pattern and I start with a hammer and then go up the scale. And then I'm using quarter bends here and the same idea, an octave lower, ending on the root. And then I approach the 5 chord chromatically from underneath. So I'm walking it up to the 5, and then I play an abbreviated dominant 7. So this dominant 7th chord is a D7, so it's the root, the flat 7, and then the major third. So it suggests a D7 chord. And then I'm going to end on a G chord. Now this G chord is a G13th chord. It's inverted. I have the 7, that's F, in the bottom, so that's the flat 7. The third, that's the B. The 6, that's the same as the 13. That's an E, and then the root on top, G. So that's my last chord. Let's put that together. That's it for Blues Solo with Comping in the key of G number 11. I'm Kimberly Allison from Starliner Music, and I hope to see you back on my channel soon.